Welcome to Milk Market Tidbit for the February cold storage report that USDA released yesterday afternoon. This is Dr. Lawrence Jones, and I'm recording this on the afternoon of Wednesday, March the 26th. So the cold storage report is our second report, and then we're going to get the dairy products report a week from this Friday. So this is a graph from last month. You might remember that we ended up January by adding just a little under 20 million pounds to the cold storage for cheese. And that was very similar to what we did in December. But now that we got the revisions, they took that 19.9 million down to 1.9. So where did that 19 million pounds of cheese go? That's the big question mark that I think we need to get answered here. My estimates are all kind of screwed up because they're always based on the previous month, but we ended up adding 24.7 million pounds of cheese to cold storage, a little bit less than what StoneX thought we would. Now the question is, should there have been an advantage of putting cheese into cold storage? But with this carry, there probably was not. But when you look at this, it looks to me that the January disappearance is much better than we thought. Because remember, we increased milk production, so it means we're probably going to increase cheese, yet we drew down cold storage. So that's kind of a recipe for good disappearance. Then February disappearance is probably a bit lower than January because we did add this 25 million pounds of cheese. Again, let's look at what was going on. This is a snapshot in the middle of February. We ended up at $1.90, which is about where the trade was for February. But to put it into cold storage, you'd have to pull it out about 196, which is way up here. So there was no good hedge positions, of sticking in the cold storage and then pulling out later. So if we look at the cheese stocks, definitely winding down. Now we've been on this particularly uptrend for a while, and now we're on this downtrend, and I think you could extend that back to February of 2022. And we are lapping over a year ago where we had kind of an outlier. So again, looking at year-over-year numbers is probably not appropriate. And this came in just a little bit better than we thought it would seasonally, given the fact that January production was down so much. So here are our cheese prices, global dairy trades right at that 226, and I said our February numbers at $1.90. That's enough that we should be exporting, so we've got a black dot in that February time frame. Look at American stocks, kind of the same thing. We're on this particular strong trend, and in 2022 we started to trend down, but this also came in just a little bit stronger than we thought it would based on the January numbers. And then I keep asking myself, are we drawing down one heavier than the other? And the American stocks are still at 57% of the total cheese inventory. So other stocks, kind of the same story. They've been going up, now they're coming down. It was right where we expected it to be based on what the January numbers historically have been. But again, a year ago was an outlier, so lapping year-over-year numbers is probably not real useful. Now we look at butter. Butter was up about 44.7 million pounds, a little bit more than we thought typical, a little bit less than what StoneX had, and very small changes, just about 1 million pounds changed in cold storage. So unlike cheese, butter stocks have actually flattened out quite a bit. So again, we were on this upward trend, and now we could almost be thought that we're starting to come up on a slightly upward trend also. Was there an advantage of putting cheese in cold storage? So in February, we ended up at 250. That's about where the trade was on the 14th. I'm sorry, this one's on the 21st. But we did have cheese out here trading at 270. So again, putting it in at 250 and pulling it out at 270 was probably a good suggestion. So I said we had the cold storage report, and then we're just going to have the National Dairy Sales Report on Wednesday, the dairy slaughter and the spot milk. Now next week, we're going to have a bit more data because we're going to have the agricultural prices, the global dairy trade. We'll finish out March. And then the dairy products report on Friday. So I will get you a next milk market tidbit on the class and component numbers on Wednesday.